Hmm. I have no clue what I'm doing. Hello, anybody who's there. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing here. I'm trying to figure out the live thing so that I could, try to get back into the swing of making content. But it's a little confusing because I'm a Luddite and I don't like technology. Ethan Hughes, I know that name. What's up, Ethan? I don't even know if you can hear me. Can my words be heard right now? There we go. There's some names I recognize. Big Al, what's up? Pig Boss. There we go. Okay, I'm seeing the comments. What are we doing? I have no idea what we're doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just wanted to do a quick live stream to kind of try to reconnect with my audience a little bit because I miss making content. And yeah, it's been a rough 12 months for me, but I'm back and I'm hoping to get back into the swing of making content again. Adam, what's good, Adam? It's my buddy from back in Connecticut. Let's see. Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. What have you guys been watching? Anything exciting? Anything new? Anything old? I've been stuck in the 70s personally. I can't stop watching 70s films. Sound is all good. Thank you, Ethan. I hear you, Big Al. I hear you. Yeah, I've not been hunting as much these days, very seldom. But I do hope to get back to it for sure. And this is not vodka, I swear. This is just water. So I could stay parched during all of this. Softball Junkie, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate that. Angel Town today with Oliver Gruner. Yeah, I've or Olivier. Is it Oliver or Olivier? I get mixed up. Angel Town I have not seen. I have it on a double feature nearby with what else is on there? I want to say Nemesis, the Albert Pune movie. Oliver Gruner. Is it Oliver Gruner? Is it Olivier Gruner? Olivier Gruner. Yeah, so it's Olivier Gruner. I will forget that immediately. What 70s films have you been watching? Well, I do have a couple box sets that a couple that I've had for quite some time. One that I picked up recently because I sold a bunch of my individuals. But I've been stuck in the late 70s and early 80s for the most part. And I've been stuck in Hong Kong specifically. So I've been watching a shit ton of Hong Kong, mostly Shaw Brothers stuff in its original language, mostly because of Arrow and the shout box here. I might as well just show you guys. So I've got this Shaw Brothers set. This is one of 4 collections that they've put out. This is number, to be honest with you, I'm not sure. It is volume 4. The other 3 volumes I can't afford. The reason why I picked this one up is because I had a bunch of the films individually. So I sold them all off and it funded this box set, which is a nice, concise package of all the films. Yes, it is beautiful, and it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 films here. Let you get a read on them. I just watched Holy Flame of the Martial World, this one here. And it immediately became one of my favorite Hong Kong films, one of my favorite action films of the 80s. It's incredible. Fantasy infused. It's got some horror elements. It's very simple. A lot of these martial arts, Hong Kong martial arts films are rather simple, admittedly. But it's just about 2 different magical swords that belong to these two kids, and you have these tyrants that were trying to take the power of the swords from them and obscure who killed their parents and all that kind of stuff. But what separates this has an effect in it that reminded me of Ghostbusters. When Ghostbusters would do and forgive me for the terminology, but it's they kind of draw frames of ghosts or animations over the actual film, and it creates almost like a Roger Rabbit kind of effect. I'm not explaining that very well. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. But Holy Flame of the Martial World has this one effect when there's a scene in a cave, and there's these ghostly apparitions that are like blue and red, very crudely drawn, but the way they move around the screen is just fantastic and so smooth, and it's very unique. I don't see effects like it very often. So when it popped up in this one, it actually blew me away. And just the effect work in this, lasers everywhere. The director of this, actually, you know what? It's the first film of his that I've seen, Tony Lo Chun-koo. But it is a Shaw Brothers film. So I'll mention the other films on here. I don't think I've seen any of the other films. Well, maybe a couple. The Rebel Intruders from 1980, Two Champions of Shaolin from 1980, Legend of the Fox from 1980, Black Wizard, House of Traps, which I have seen, which is a really strange Shaw Brothers film that I've seen years and years ago now. I need to check it out again. But it was just that. I remember this house, this dojo-like area, just full of these incredibly ridiculous traps that these martial artists were battling and trying to dismantle and get free from. It's awesome. Masked Avengers, I haven't seen. The Sword Stained with Royal Blood, I haven't seen. This does contain one of my favorite Shaw Brothers films, 5 Element Ninjas, which is, again, just a masterpiece of vibrant action and color and a solid but simple story like a lot of the great Shaw Brothers contain. But again, these films, as anybody who's out there that knows Shaw Brothers, you guys know that Shaw Brothers films you watch them for the action, the incredibly tightly choreographed action sequences that are like dance sequences. I always consider the American musical, the Bollywood musical, that is fused with a lot of the other genres in Bollywood and in Indian film. I always saw those dance sequences, choreographed dance sequences, very similar to how I view Shaw Brothers. Obviously, both are deeply rooted in their culture, but there's something about the Shaw Brothers action sequences that feel like musical numbers. They're much cooler than musical numbers, in my humble opinion. I like a good musical, but I will take a good martial arts film any day over a good musical. That's just me. And it all comes down to who the choreographer. The more you watch, the more you could pick up who choreographed these films. And one of my favorite choreographers and directors and writers, I believe he wrote some of the films he did, like 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, is Lau Kar-leung, who is a legend. A lot of you guys might know him from the Jackie Chan film Drunken Master 2 or The Legend of the Drunken Master, where he plays the old, it's been a while, forgive me, an old guy with a bow staff. That's what I remember. And one of the first sequences in that film are them underneath the train, and they're having this incredible sequence where they're ducked low, and you have like the 60-year-old dude, Lau Kar-leung, just killing it physically, and it's awesome. But Lau Kar-leung is a legend in martial arts cinema. He also goes by Lu Qiaolong, and he did 8 Diagram Pole Fire, Enter the 36th Chamber of Shaolin, stuff like that. I've been running my mouth with garrulity, and that's what I do best. Let me read the comments here. Love the Shaw Brothers. Yes, they're awesome. I haven't lost a step. Thanks, Pig Boss. I feel like I have lost a step, to be honest. I'm a little anxious right now. It took me a while to hit that go live button because I've been away for so long and I'm so rusty, and I feel like I have changed quite a bit in this last year, but it's good to hear. Thank you. I really, that makes me feel, I can take a deep breath and I can take a little drink of water. Thank you. I appreciate that. 5 is the best. Five. Is that Five Element Ninjas? Is that what you mean, Pig Boss? Are you going to collab with Mikey Pixels again? Those iPhone app videos were amazing. I would love to. I still talk to Mike. He's still a good friend of mine. I don't talk to him as much as I would like to. That's mostly my fault, admittedly. But being down here in North Carolina, him and up in Connecticut, it's just hard. But that's no excuse. Him and I are still good friends. We've always been. We will always be. And I hope to make some videos with him again. That would be incredible because I know he still has an interest in doing so. But he also has a family now. You know, that's something I don't have that I would like in the near future, that I want to work towards. But Mike, you know, he's got a family, he's got a kid, he's got a bunch of dogs, he's got a wife, of course, and he's really taken care of that, and I admire him for that. But I do want to see him get back to YouTube, and every time we talk, he always says he wants to get back to YouTube. So, you know, it is what it is. C'est la vie, right? So, yeah, Pig Boss, five Element Ninjas is one of the best. 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, 36 Chamber of Shaolin, 5 Element Ninjas, Crippled Avengers, 5 Deadly Venoms. In my opinion, those are some of the heavy hitters, which I just adore. So yeah, well, I might as well. I'll show you guys these. Sorry if you're not interested in. Oh, I got good glare going on. See, this is what happens when I can't plan everything and have it perfect. Gotta fly. Hopefully we'll see more content soon. I miss your hunting videos. Absolutely, Pig Boss. Thanks for stopping in. This isn't going to go on for too long, maybe a half hour or so. See who comes in and let's try to reconnect a little bit. So you take care. I appreciate you tuning in. More to come. So we do have some others here. Opium and the Kung Fu Master, along with martial arts, Holy Flame of the Martial Arts. I'll go through these quick. Shaolin Prince, Shaolin Intruders. 5 Element Ninjas, and Sword Stained with Royal Blood. You got to love these titles. The Sword Stained with Royal Blood. You cannot go wrong with that. It must be awesome. And speaking of that, what iPhone app video was your most favorite? I'm not really sure. That's a weird question. I haven't thought about the iPhone app videos in a very long time, admittedly. I don't know. Probably the first one that we did, the lightsaber one, because that was a fun one to film, and I thought the kind of joke of it was kind of clever, where I end up, what's the word? Eviscerating myself. I end up performing harakiri on myself. I think that one's probably my favorite. But those were all fun to make. The soda fountain app one is the one that went crazy. Ray was good. Was good, man. But glad to see still working on it. Yeah, still working on it. It's been a while. I haven't produced a video in about a year. I just looked and saw that March 5th, 2022 was the last, or 2023 was the last time I produced a video. But, you know, sometimes life gets in the way and you have to tend to it and seize it and subdue it. So that's what I've been attempting to do, and getting back into the swing of creating content, because that's really, I've realized over the last year, you know, I needed a break from the content, but I really miss it, and I do feel like a part of me is missing. So I have to get back to doing it and talking about movies and hopefully even more exciting things, because I have been writing quite a bit. That is something that I've been doing, and I want to make a movie soon. You know, I would love to make a movie or do something, a bigger project like that. So we'll see what happens, but I'm working towards it slowly. But yeah, might as well show these here. Got these beautiful box sets. Shaw Scope Volume 2. These, you know, Arrow put in quite a bit more work than Shout did. Which is okay. I don't mind, you know, I just want the movies at the end of the day, but, you know, a full color book talking about all the history of these films. And we have, this is Volume 2, actually. Volume 1 I have over here. Just look at the work these guys do. You know, newly commissioned artwork. I can't figure this out. Kid with the Golden Arm. A lot of Chung Che films. A lot of Lau Kar-leung films. Those are two of my favorite, I would say, Shaw Brothers directors, Lau Kar-leung and Lo Lie. I'm sorry, not Lo Lie. Lo Lie is an actor and director. Lau Kar-leung and Chung Che. So what else? What else is going on, guys? Anybody been watching anything exciting? Any new movies that you think I should see? Because I don't crawl out from under my 70s, 80s holes very often when I go into them. So I've been watching a lot of old stuff. Oh, I watched these two doozies too recently. Have you guys seen these? These are incredible, especially Pray for Death. Pray for Death is fucking awesome. This movie has an incredible villain who just seems like a guy that they got off the street, and he puts in just such a vicious and brutal villain performance that it's one of those action. What can I say? I'm just gonna come clean. This movie made me tear up with joy because of how well it hits its action movie beats. Right, so much bad shit happens to this poor dude who who just is coming over from Japan with his family to start a new life, and he just can't because of all of the things, all of the complications that arise. And he has to deal with them by mostly throwing shurikens at people's necks and slicing them in half. He's got like crazy body armor that he dons in the last sequence. This movie is awesome. It is a ninja movie, by the way, directed by Gordon Hessler, who used to do like the Sinbad movies from the 70s with Ray Harryhausen and some Poe Corman features, I believe, like the Oblong Box, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if Corman directed those, but anyway, this movie, Sho Kosugi, is underrated for sure. He had a run of ninja movies in the 80s from 81, starting with Enter the Ninja, to 87 with 9 Lives of the Ninja, I believe. This one came out in 85. This one in 86, if I'm getting them right. I might be mixing them up. Is this the one with his son? Yeah, Kane and Shane. So this actually stars Sho Kosugi's sons, and even one of his sons, Kane, who grows up to be an action movie actor in and of himself, Kane ends up kicking a shit ton of ass. And this is just one of those like fist pumping movies. I got so excited watching again because in an age of films that take a lot of, well, how do I say? In an age of films that all feel like they're doing a very similar thing in the modern age of cinema, sometimes going back to an older genre of films, and I don't know, the cliches seem to be more refreshing than cliches that are being overused today. I'm not sure if that makes much sense. I'm not sure if I'm articulating that correctly. But there's something special about going back to 80s films or a good revenge film that just hits all the right emotional beats. And yeah, I was teared. My eyes were welled up with joy while he was throwing shurikens at people in the end of this film, waiting for the bad guy to get his comeuppance. And we get a fucking chainsaw ninja fight. Yeah, like a chainsaw ninja fight at the end. It doesn't last too long. You know, every chainsaw versus ninja fight lasts too short of a time. But I really love Pray for Death. Pray for Death is awesome. Rage of Honor is very good too, but in comparison, watching them back to back, you will notice that this is quite a bit of a step down. The stories, you know, it's one of those, my partner got killed in the beginning of the movies. I'm a cop, my partner gets killed, and I got to get the bad guys. It works well enough, but this, just because he's trying his best to start a family in America, and these criminals, these bad people won't let it happen, and some of the shit that they do to his family is horrible. It's absolutely egregious, and it makes the comeuppance at the end that much more worth it. But yeah, Rage of Honor is very good too. Again, directed by Gordon Hessler. He directed both of these. In fact, they did another film together. Forgive me, I got my Friday shirt on here. They did another film together in the early 90s. Let me see if I could find out what the name of it is. Bear with me. Gordon Hessler. Much more Gordon Hessler's films because he seems to be quite the genre filmmaker of the 70s and 80s. So yeah, Gordon Hessler, Golden Voyage of Sinbad. He did Scream and Scream Again, Cry of the Banshee, The Oblong Box. So he's done quite a bit of films. And I'm looking for the one. I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Journey of Honor. So he did another film with Sho Kosugi, the third and I believe last. It's a drama adventure action film. Never heard much about this film, Journey of Honor. but it does star Sho Kosugi in a lead role, and he's an all right leading man. You know, he's not. He's comparative. You can compare him to Jean-Claude Van Damme. They both have broken English, which gives them charm, I believe, personally. Gives them charm, and it's just adds a bit to the realism. You know, not everybody has a perfect English accent in America, obviously, so it works in that sense. And Sho doesn't quite have the flair, the gravitas that Jean-Claude does, but Sho is equally, maybe not equally. He's, yeah, you know what? I would say equally as acrobatic as Jean-Claude Van Damme. Sho is doing all of his own stunts. He choreographs his own stunts, as far as I understand, and he's really leans into the ninja thing, jumping all around and diving and ninja vanish. What the fuck? Isn't that from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Ninja vanish! And like throwing shurikens, and all the classic ninja tropes are here. I mean, these are what helped solidify the ninja tropes in cinema. So, and I've been on a bit of a lately. I've been getting into like deep kicks. I've always gotten into kicks, but right now I'm wavering between the Hong Kong stuff and 80s and 70s ninja stuff, and even going back to the 60s, where some of the first ninja films were even produced, like Shinobi no Mono, which is, I believe, one of the first Japanese ninja films to come out from the 60s. So I'm going to read the comment here. Just want the movie no matter how it's packaged or what the form, VHS, DVD. Oh, yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, I just want the films. And to be honest, one thing I noticed about my Hong Kong martial arts collection is there was a time where I got really lucky and I picked up like 100 of them for an incredible price. They were just giving them away, basically. And so I bought every single one, not knowing much about the distribution companies that I was buying them from or what they even actually entailed. I was just like, Hong Kong martial arts, I'll take it for 50 cents a piece or whatever it was back in the day. But now I'm noticing that about 90% of the martial arts films that I have in my collection, a lot of obscure and rare stuff, don't get me wrong, that I'm grateful to have, but the majority of them are in the English language with very poor dubs. And I understand that some people like that. It adds charm to it, sort of like how the Italian dubs or the English dubs for the Italian films back in the day add charm. I do agree with that in terms of giallo and Italian horror and even spaghetti westerns. But it's much harder for me to take these movies seriously. The coolness of these Shaw Brothers films is sliced away a bit as I'm watching the crappy English dubs. So, which is what they are. And usually they're cut up, they're crappy English dubs, and they're cut up on the sides, and there's watermarks everywhere, and it's not the best thing. You know, for example, here, let me just pull one out. Eastern Heroes Collection, right? Iron Neck Lee, which I'm sure is a fun film, but this is in English and it's chopped into, 4:3. Maybe some of these old films were 4:3, but yeah, these are like really poorly made, almost public domain. I'm not sure exactly how it works. If I had the money and the means, I would start my own distribution company and focus on these more obscure subgenres, like martial arts films from the 70s and horror films and things like that. But action films is something that I think we still need. I know 88 Films and Arrow and a lot of these companies do focus on action films, which is great. But I wish there was a dedicated distributor, a dedicated boutique label that really focused on bringing to light obscure action cinema from the 70s, 80s, 90s, America, Japan, Hong Kong. That would be amazing. Delon Movies, what's up, man? Just open up YouTube and guess who's back? I am back. I am trying. This is my foot in the door, as they say. I'm trying to get a foot in the door so that I can get the momentum back of producing videos, which I have missed greatly. And I've missed all of you very much. It is so, honestly, I didn't know how this live stream was going to go. There's 12 people in it. That's way more than I thought. I maybe thought a few people would straggle in, and I didn't even know if they would be my subscribers, the people that I recognize. So, I see all these names here that I recognize, and that really humbles me. And it gives me I'm excited. It gives me the inspiration to want to get back to doing this. I just wish I was more focused today. I'm not. That's, because I just wanted to come in here and give you guys an update on what's been going on. Not to get too personal, but it's just been a rough year for me. And I'm not one to harp on my issues, because I understand everybody has issues and everybody's dealing with life in their own ways, and the problems of life and the struggles of life and the joys of life. But it's been a particularly rough 12 months for me, admittedly. I've just got a lot of personal stuff going on that has taken its toll on me. But I'm staying active, staying healthy. I'm eating well. I'm still exercising, all that kind of stuff. So I'm staying sane. But it's been rough to deal with. But I have good family and friends around here that really help ground me and keep me moving. So that's a good thing. And I can't wait to get back to YouTube to just get back into the swing of talking about films, because as you can tell, I am a pot of water that's boiling over at any given time about any subject. I just need to speak about these things. And so it's good to be back. And I hope to stay consistent and bring you guys some good content. I want to step my game up too. I don't want to just bring you the same old content. Of course, I'm the same old me, so the center of that content will always be me. But I don't know, I just want something a little different. Maybe try some new series, stuff like that. I will say one of the big news that I got news of about a week ago, and to no fault of my own or my brother's. I live with my brother. I'm currently in the house that I live in with my brother. And I've been living here for almost 9 years now. It's been a long time. And I love living here. I have a nice view across the street of a nice little lake or pond. It's very serene, lots of green, lots of trees, no pollution out here. The air is clean, the sky is beautiful. But we have a termite infestation in our kitchen, which might be throughout the whole house, which we are renting. And unfortunately, there aren't many protections for people in renters in North Carolina, and we don't have much of an option but to find another place to live. We have been constructively evicted because we can't live on the premises while they're doing the repairs for the termites. So, to no fault, unfortunately, of ours, really in this case, no fault of ours. In fact, it might be the fault of the landlords, not to get into the legal stuff, but anyway, we're navigating that, trying to figure out what our rights are, which don't seem to be many in North Carolina. And we're trying to figure out a place to live for at least a couple months to help us get on our feet and try to find a new place to live, which is increasingly harder for low-income people, admittedly. So with all that said, I am going to have a new household. I might be doing some videos from my mother's shed. I don't exactly know. My mother is down in North Carolina and she's willing to help us out. Obviously, my mother's a good woman. But it's really hard for two grown men. I'm 35, I'm 36 in 3 weeks to lose the house that I've been in with all my stuff I've taken many hours, fixing up and looking nice, and just having to be forced out and possibly live with my mom. I mean, that's for a couple months. I don't know. My pride takes a hit, but it is what it is. My mother's a good woman. She's here for us, and she's gonna help us get us to the next stage in our life. Hopefully, there will be silver lining to this. Maybe I'll be able to produce more videos. I'll be a little bit more focused on that after the move and everything like that. Maybe we'll have a better home and a better place. Maybe the rent will be cheap. I doubt all these things, but you never know. Maybe it'll be a better situation at the end. So, James Borland, what's up, buddy? It's been a while. Welcome back. Happy Mario Day. That's right, March 10th. Yesterday was my brother's birthday. Today is Mario Day, I guess. Is it actually? Yesterday I saw the film They Live. My second favorite John Carpenter film. My favorite John Carpenter film is Big Trouble in Little China. You've always had good taste, James. Those are two incredible films. Of course, my favorite is The Thing. But top 5, easily Big Trouble in Little China, and probably top 5 or 6 They Live. So awesome movies. I'm a renter in NC, trying to move myself. Rent is insane these days. Dell, thank you for making me feel not as insane as I've felt lately. Because yeah, being a renter in NC is rather difficult, especially if you're not making a crap ton of money. But it is what it is. I'll power through. I'm not worried about it. I am worried about it. Of course I am. I'm human. But I'll be all right. We'll make it through to the other side. There's not been a thing in my life that I haven't gotten through yet. So stay positive. Thanks, Softball. I appreciate that. See The Right Stuff? It's a great astronaut movie. No, I have not seen The Right Stuff. I do have it on Blu-ray. I've got a nice digibook of that, in fact. And I do plan to watch it. It's just not every day, especially over the last 12 months, that I've been in the mood for a good drama. You know what I mean? Like, it's been purely escapist cinema and playing video games, stuff like that, that I've been enjoying over the last 6 months, I got to be honest. But The Right Stuff is definitely on my list, James. It's definitely one I want to check out. Have you seen any of these here, James? Are you a Hong Kong martial arts fan? I was showing off the upside down Shaw Brothers sets earlier that I have here. This one here too. And then we've got that one. I didn't show this one off. Same thing as volume 2 though. Jesus, I can't do this. It's like looking in a mirror. This has some of the most awesome. I like these sets because they don't only stick to the martial arts films. You have Mighty Peking Man, which is the Hong Kong Shaw Brothers response to King Kong, Gojira, all that kind of stuff. And it's awesome. Not unlike Super Inframan, by the way, which is another kind of one of those films. Chinatown Kid is a modern action Shaw Brothers film that takes place in the late 70s. I haven't actually seen it. 5 Venoms. One of these sets also has Dirty Ho, Gordon Liu. All of you guys know who Gordon Liu is. He is the man. He's up there with Jackie Chan and Jet Li and all those dudes in terms of his performance, his what's the word? Just the way his body moves is like water. It's beautifully. It's like rigid water. I don't know how to explain it. There's so much structure and grounding in every movement that Gordon Liu does, but it flows like a river. And he's just so eloquent as a performer. It's beautiful. He could do serious action films. He could do comedic action films, which is Dirty Ho. Dirty Ho is so good. It's so good. And Gordon Liu is a legend. Guys, if you are action movie fans and you don't know Gordon Liu, do yourself a favor and watch the 36th Chamber of Shaolin and or 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, which is both are absolutely brilliant. Both are very different films, but both are brilliant and both star the man Gordon Liu. Liu Qialong. Gordon Liu Chi Hui, something like that is his Chinese name, but we know him in the West as Gordon Liu, and he's the man. Woo! I've been doing this for 30 minutes. I'm not sure how long I'll go on. I really don't know what to talk about, to be fair. I have some Shaw Brothers films on DVD. Love them. They are insane and hilarious. Those are 2 good adjectives. Insane and hilarious. Usually the best Shaw Brothers films are. I'm doing a martial arts marathon this month. Very good, Dell. Trying to check out as many as I can of the ones in my collection I haven't seen. Got you. That's awesome. What are some ones in your collection that you haven't seen that you're looking to check out this month? Rewatch Rikio the other day. Such a fun time. Absolutely. If you like Rikio, Ethan, I highly recommend checking out the rest of Nam Lai Choi's films. Nam Lai Choi goes by like 20 different names. Nam Lai Choi is the one that's cemented in my head. So Hong Kong director, really popular during the Cat 3 era of Hong Kong cinema, where they were really pushing the envelope. It's kind of equivalent to the video nasties in Britain, but they were really Cat 3. They were really pushing the envelope in Hong Kong with violence and sex together at the same time sometimes. And Rikio is Nam Lai Choi's most popular film by far, and it deserves it for what it is. It's ironic because it's actually a Japanese property that the film is based on. It's a Japanese manga and anime. But Nam Lai Choi's other films, all of his films are insane and hilarious, to use the adjectives of James. They are so inventive. They are so vibrant and oozing with creativity. And they deserve better releases, to be honest. Films like The Peacock King, which I actually did an old video of, an old scripted review of years and years ago now, like one of my first reviews, Peacock King. I think I have some of them right next to me, actually. Well, Peacock King, Saga of the Phoenix, just incredible, fantastical, mythological Hong Kong action films. With Yin Bio, I believe is in at least, he's in The Peacock King. I forget if he's in Saga of the Phoenix. Yin Bio, of course, people know from basically anytime you see the surname Yun, Yuen, in Hong Kong cinema, they all come from a similar school. And all of those, so Yin Bio, even Sammo Hung, who dropped the Yun, Jackie Chan, who dropped the Yun, Corey Yun, the director of Transporter, who kept the Yun. What I'm getting at here is all of these Yuns come from the same school, the same opera school in Hong Kong during the 60s that Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yin Bio, Corey Yun, a bunch of other Yuns in Hong Kong cinema attended. And they're part of the reason why Hong Kong cinema was so electric during the 70s and 80s, because these guys they went through hell in these schools. Don't get me wrong. I've read Jackie Chan's bio, and it is what these guys went through to achieve the level of skill with their bodies and their minds that they have. It's incredible. So, and it goes to show, because what they produced in the 70s and 80s is unlike anything. I mean, if you think action movies were good in the 70s and 80s in America, which they were fun, they were great in a lot of cases. I will never dismiss that. But it absolutely pales in comparison to what Hong Kong was doing in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I mean, it pales in comparison. Yes, it's a different beast. You can't compare Commando to 8 Diagram Pole Fighter. You can compare them in the sense that they're action films, and they do have some things alike. But the way that they're filmed, the way that the action is filmed and choreographed and produced, and the emphasis on the elegance of the action is what separates Hong Kong films. American films, the violence is brute, vulgar, and visceral, which I love too. But Hong Kong, it's more elegant. Even when they incorporate some of the more brutal elements, like I don't know, like smashing a bow staff into somebody's teeth, which happens in 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, and it does have these jarring moments of violence in the Hong Kong action films from the 70s and 80s. Which, by the way, here, I've been talking. Let me read the comments again here. Question: what are your criteria for a great film? Mine are 3 things: creativity, engagement, and interesting. Yeah, I think engagement and interestingness probably are pretty similar in my mind, because one of my cardinal rules for cinema is it can't be boring. I don't care if it's a drama. I don't care if it's an action film. I don't care what genre it is, a comedy. It can't be boring. So, and that penetrates the idea that a bad film can't be entertaining. Of course, a bad film can be entertaining. A bad film can also be non-entertaining. It's the differentiation between those two. And that's why I say boring and non-boring films is one of the most important criteria for me. Am I having fun watching this, or do I want to shoot myself in the balls? That's the question that I always ask myself every movie. Am I enjoying this, or do I actually want to shotgun myself in the balls right now? I'm not sure. But that I think creativity is a good one. But I think all films are creative. You know, I think all art is creative. It's just a matter of judging whether the creativity is entertaining, or basically incorporating the other elements of cinema into it, like interestingness or entertainment value. So I think creativity and a film being engaging, instead of saying non-boring, I think engaging is better. So if I feel like I want to check my phone 100 times during a movie, that's not a good sign, you know. Let's see. I have in love both of those Shawscope sets. Yeah, these are so cool, Del. I'm hoping they do a number 3, because I prefer arrows work. I mean, this was like $120 when it came out, and I just bought this for 110. And they have about the same amount of films on them, but the amount of love and work that goes into these, look at this. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's like almost refractive. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So I'm hoping they do a third one. Maybe they have, I'm out of the loop purposefully because I'm trying not to spend money these days. But looking to finish up both Shaw Scope sets along with Come Drink With Me. Come Drink With Me was good. I haven't seen that film in years. I thought it was pretty good. But I watched My Young Auntie, a Lau Kar-leung film from the early 80s. Blew me away. That blew me away. A couple weeks ago, I watched that. Fell in love with the lead actress. I forget her name, but she is just phenomenal. So charming. And My Young Auntie also stars Lau Kar-leung. My favorite Hong Kong martial arts films, Shaw Brothers, are the ones where Lau Kar-leung directs, writes, and stars in. There's something so amiable about his presence. He doesn't have gravitas, but he's got this intensity in his action and his movements, not unlike Gordon Liu, who certainly was probably a student of Lau Kar-leung, because Lau Kar-leung and him came up around the same time, but Lau Kar-leung was directing him in a lot of films. So just an incredible team up. Guys, Lau Kar-leung and Gordon Liu together. They did a bunch of movies. Watch them. Dirty Ho, 8-Diagram Pole Fighter, 36 Chamber, the 2 sequels to 36 Chamber. My Young Auntie. Was Gordon Liu in My Young Auntie? Maybe a small bit role. I'm not exactly sure. Let's see. Yeah, Come Drink With Me. Hand of Death. Hand of Death. Is that the... Is that the Jackie Chan one? Is that John Woo? Is that right? Hand of Death. One of the 2 wuxia films that John Woo directed, which is another interesting case I could talk about forever. John Woo starts out doing wuxia, Last Hurrah for Chivalry, Hand of Death, and then incorporates all of those elements into a new genre, which we all know and love as gun fu. You know, without John Woo, we don't have John Wick. I'm sure the naming of the character was was intentional. John Wick, John Woo, John. Anyway, so he learns all this stuff through wuxia and Shaw Brothers traditional filmmaking and creates his own genre. I mean, really, the heroic bloodshed genre was around before John Woo, but he takes it, infuses it with wuxia elements, loyalty and honor, and just basically supplants the weapons, the swords, the axes, the poles with guns. And I just rewatched The Killer last night because I was in the mood for one of those wuxia, gun fu, John Woo films. And The Killer is one of my favorite films of all time. I'm sure you guys have seen that. It's phenomenal. But getting more familiar with Shaw Brothers films and the wuxia nature of the Shaw Brothers stuff, it starts to make so much sense how and why John Woo created what he did. And he wrote all of his own films. He wrote The Killer. He wrote Hard Boiled. He directed it. I'm sure he had something to do with the choreography of the action sequences, the gun fu. And I've fallen in love with Hong Kong cinema. I've always loved it, but I have officially fallen in love with Hong Kong cinema. Stoner Paranormal Investigations. love the name. I recognize it. Wow, the man, the myth, the legend back. I could cry right now. I've missed you, dude. Absolutely awesome. Good to see you're back. Well, that is incredibly nice. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's honestly, it's pretty touching. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope to be back for good. I'm just doing I said a quick live stream. It's turning into a long live stream, but that's okay because people are still here and listening to me ramble on. Good to be back. Yes, Hand of Death is directed by John Woo, stars Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung. Yeah, that's crazy. I knew it had Jackie Chan. Now, Del, let me ask you, is it starring them or is it starring them? You know what I mean? Where they have like a 3-second cameo at one point in the film. Or are they in the film? Are we talking a for real John Woo directed Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung film? And my next question is, does it live up to that hype? Which is probably an easier question to answer. I'm assuming probably not, because I've not heard much about it. I've heard more about Last Hurrah for Chivalry. But What else is new, guys? Any other? We could talk non-martial arts films. That's fine too. I see the number of people is dwindling. That's okay. I'm running out of steam, to be honest. Nah, you know me. I can sit down for hours at a time. I've done it. Talk about movies. I will say one thing I've gotten rid of over the last 12 months. Gotten rid of probably close to 1,000 movies, books, and games. But not 1,000 of each, 1,000 in total. I've gotten rid of about half of my movie box or my TV box sets because I realized that I don't watch TV. I have accepted that as a 35-year-old dude. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to be interested down the road. Right now, I'm not interested in The Sopranos and The Wire, all the box sets I have that I don't know what it is. I have tried to watch The Sopranos 4 or 5 times. I watched the first episode. It's pretty good, and I never go on. My mind is so finely tuned to the cinematic process, movies, 90 minutes, 120 minutes, act structures. It's so finely tuned into that process that I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a lack of attention. I don't think it is because I'm a pretty attentive person. I meditate and stuff. I try to stay mindful. But it's just, I don't know if I want to sit through 70 hours of one story. I read every day. I read literature. I read nonfiction. I get my long form stories from my literature, classic literature, usually, and science fiction and horror. And I don't feel a desire to get that from cinema. It might sound weird. But so with that said, I've gotten rid of about half of my box sets. Most of my box sets now are history documentaries, science documentaries, planet Earth type things, BBC. Even though I got rid of a lot of those, I'm looking at, like, I have a lot of miniseries. I love miniseries because, well, they're just that. They're mini. They're limited. There's 3 episodes, 4 episodes, maybe a season worth of episodes, and the story's done. I prefer that over 7 seasons of Breaking Bad, which I'm sure is wonderful. I don't doubt that, but I can't do it. Can't do it. According to the cover art, Jackie Chan is third billed in Hand of Death, while Sammo showed up in the opening credits and handled fight choreography. Yeah, okay, so that sounds about right. So they're kind of there, but it's probably a favor to the director. It's the way things worked in Hong Kong in the early 70s. So a lot of people did favors for each other. That's how Jackie Chan and all the stars end up in a film like Prison of Fire, because they owed Jimmy Wang a favor. And there's some triad stuff going on I won't get into. It's been a long time since I read Jackie Chan's bio. And who knows, what's a tall tale, a fallacy, or erroneous memory, or whatever it might be, or just embellishment. But yeah, so do you have any favorite films that were released last year that you saw? Good question. We could talk about that for a little bit. Hey, OC Floydian. Well. He gave me 4 wells with a comma after the third. Welcome back. What's good, man? It's good to be back. Let me bring up okay, so I will say I believe 2023 was one of the worst years for cinema. Now it'll take me years to solidify that, to cement that, because I'm going to go back. I've seen a lot of the mainstream stuff from last year. Not all of it, but almost all of it. I want to, as years go on, I go back and dig into the more obscure and smaller films, lower budget. And because that's where, honestly, the joy of modern cinema is for me, even though that joy is waning increasingly as time goes on. I think it's just because I'm becoming a bitter old man, but that's okay. I have the right to it. Good to see you. Good to see you as well. Let me bring up what I've got here. Bear with me. I do, because I am a super nerd. I have 2023 ranked. There you go. 2023 ranked. And I'll go through what I have here if you guys are interested. Numero uno. Actually, let's play a little game just because why not? What do you guys think, based on your understanding of my taste in movies, what do you guys think was my favorite film from 2023? Let's just see if there are a few answers that you guys could get. Smash that like button, people. Thank you. 12 likes. That's awesome. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means, but it's good, right? And if nobody answers in 30 seconds to a minute, I'll just start talking. It's fine. It's not a threat. It's just it is what it is. Barbarian. Okay, was that 2023? I think you might be a year behind there, or maybe I'm a year ahead. Yeah, I don't have that for my 2020. I want to say Barbarian was 2022. Cool thing is I have access to the internet when I'm streaming from my laptop here. Sorry for the glare on my face. The sun is moving. The sun is moving, not the planet. Barbarian 2022. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll give my opinion on Barbarian. I thought it was overhyped. I thought it was a solid horror film with traditional roots. I appreciated that. I liked its simplicity, yet its complexity of character. I thought that was good. The dark humor is well done. The third act, I think, blows it. I feel this a lot with modern American horror. The third act, I just feel like falls short. I feel like by the third act, they've run out of creativity, and then they just throw you the horror stuff, and it's like, okay, well, this is kind of cool. I get it, but I don't know. My favorite part of the film was Justin Long. I thought Justin Long's character, the way he kind of comes into the film in media res and almost lightens the mood, but shit's about to go down. It's a good exploration of tension, and I thought it was well done. Now, the guy that directed it, I forget his name, Zach Kreger, used to be on a what do you call a show? Sketch comedy show called The Whitest Kids You Know. I actually still have the DVD over here. Awesome. I loved that show back in the day. I loved sketch comedy back in the day. I actually did my own with my buddies back when I was a teenager, inspired by that kind of stuff. Whitest Kids You Know is brilliant. So I'm glad to see Zach Kreger back. Or back on the scene and doing something unique and different. And it seems he has an affinity for horror. So that would be great to see what comes next. Because I like his deft approach to balancing horror and dark comedy. I think that's going to be one of his skills. Not unlike Jordan Peele, Ari Aster. A lot of the up-and-coming, what I call post art house, or they fuse art house with more traditional horror roots, and I appreciate that. Full art house horror films are hard for me to grasp most of the time. There are some that I love, but they're just not my type of thing. I would guess Thanksgiving. Okay, well, you actually got one that I haven't seen. Now, I think my dog's got, he's okay. My dog's getting very old, so he makes strange noises sometimes. Forgive me. Thanksgiving, I haven't seen. I'm not an Eli Roth fan. I think he's quite a hack, to be quite honest with you. I think Thanksgiving looks great. Looks like it harkens back to his glory days of what I think were like one film, Cabin Fever, which I think is brilliant. I love Cabin Fever. And then everything else after that, I just feel like people remember because of the subject matter. Watching the films now, like Hostel, they just don't hold up. Green Inferno is trash. Knock Knock is almost unwatchable. I am not a fan of Eli Roth. With that said, Thanksgiving looks good, and I want to give it a shot. So, Beau is Afraid. Okay, yeah, well, I guess I haven't seen many films from last year because you guys are naming big ones that I haven't seen. Beau is Afraid, I do need to see. What were you watching? What's good, man? How's it going? Good to see you. I've seen you putting out stuff recently over the last year while I haven't been. So your work is always so creative and always deserves more eyes on it. I think your work is awesome, to be honest with you. You've got a great sense of humor, great sense of production. Yeah, and I hope more eyes are averted to your channel. Go check out what were you watching. Anybody that enjoys my channel would enjoy his channel. I mean, there's no question about it. Just great content, very creative, inventive stuff. So okay, so let's see. Number one. Now, see this might. Well, actually, Let me go from 10 to 1. How about that? How's that sound? Go from my 10th favorite, my top 10 of the year. All right, so there's some mainstream films in here, and there's some. Actually, you know what? Let me see here. I'm gonna go over this one last time to see if it's accurate. Yeah, wow, it was a pretty not so great year. Like I was saying, I think 2023 is. It's nice of you. Looking forward to more Cyborg. Absolutely, looking more forward to producing more Cyborg. Let's go. Okay, so top 10. So I do have at number 10 Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. But keep in mind that even my number 10, which is top 10 of the year, is a 3.5 out of 5. So solid movie. Enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. I got to be honest. I hate to sound like such a grandpa. There's so much happening at every moment of these films, even when nothing is happening with the visuals, that it's how I felt the second time I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was too much. There's a little too much sensual or sensuous stimulation. Does that make sense? Sensual stimulation. So it's just constant assailing of your senses. And you never have time to breathe. You feel like you're on a roller coaster for 2 hours, and not necessarily in a great way. It's like actually what would happen if you were on a roller coaster for 2 hours. You'd start to go, okay, like sensory overload. It's just a lot going on. Beautiful artwork. Don't get me wrong. I've never seen anything like those films. What the fuck did I just do? Am I still here? Yes. But it's just increasingly not for me. And that's fine. I think Eli Roth is a hack too, but I really enjoyed Thanksgiving. Cool. So I'll probably enjoy it too, because we have similar interests in cinema, all of us here. Hit the nail on the head. I felt that with Spider-Man. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one, Big Al. Yeah, it's not that the stories and the characters aren't interesting. The characters would be more interesting if there were less of them, for one thing. Like, Jesus Christ, like, there's so much happening. The first one, the first Spider-Verse, I felt was a little bit more reserved. I liked the story more. I got to be honest, I liked the story more. I thought it was better. And yeah, it is what it is. So, that boat sailed for me on the superhero stuff, which is ironic because I have another film in my top 10, the superhero film. Anyway, 9 is Extraction. Extraction 2, sorry. Extraction 2. Excuse me. Directed by Sam Hargrave, who is like Chad Stahelski, who was a stuntman, I believe, or stunt coordinator turned director. And he is gaining quite a bit of momentum. Again, I think it's because of the success that Stahelski has had with the John Wick series. And yeah, handsome devil. Jesus. This is Sam Hargrave, who directed Extraction 1 and 2 and is directing Extraction 3, but is also, let's see, it looks like he's lined up for a bunch of movies, but who knows if those will even come out. So it looks like we're getting an Extraction trilogy, which is awesome because I fucking love Extraction 1 and 2. I think Extraction 1 and 2 are solid films in terms of action. Let's see. And Chris Hemsworth does a hell of a job. The courtyard scene in Extraction 2 is one of the best action sequences of last year. No doubt about it. Felt they took part of the humor away as well. Yeah, that's a good point for the second one, too. I felt like it wasn't as funny. It was more super serious, and the stakes were higher, which is good. But juxtaposed against such zany animation and zany characterizations, the seriousness seems to almost be askewed for... It's a stimulation movie with substance. The Marvel films mostly are stimulation movies without substance, in my estimation. But there is some substance to the Spider-Man animated films, and I recognize that. And I do love the first film. I admittedly do. Dell, the reason Across the Spider-Verse and Everything Everywhere don't work for you is one of the reasons those were my top 2 films of the last 2 years. Yeah, exactly. And I recognize that. And I think, that's the beauty of cinema. That's some people see certain things that other people don't. And I could recognize I could recognize that I understand why people would like those sorts of amusement park sorts of films that are just keeping you going constantly. But I remember walking out of Everywhere, Everything All at Once. I loved it, but I was like, man, I feel like a whirlwind. And that's not maybe it's a bad thing for me, but it might not be a bad thing for the majority of people. Obviously, these are some of the best, most popular films of the last few years. But I will say the second time I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, I wasn't as impressed. I wasn't as emotionally moved. Not sure why. Maybe I think it's because of what I'm talking about, just the sensory overload. Almost, again, eschews the emotion for me sometimes. It's hard for me to get emotionally invested, which is one of the main reasons we read and we watch films and we play games. Speaking of games, I'll just mention I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima right now on the PS5. One of the most beautiful games I have ever played. Open world, feudal Japan, samurai during the Mongol invasions, and it is, talk about cinematic. It feels like I'm watching a TV show that I'm able to interact with, which is definitely more my speed. But man, chopping people's heads off never gets old as a samurai. It's fucking awesome. All right, so number 7, no, 10, 9, 8. Number 8. We still have a few people in here, so I will keep on going until you guys tell me to stop. Or I decide to. Next up is a super fun film. Not anything to write home about, but a very fun, solid action, adventure, fantasy film, which I think we need more of. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. It's been a while. It's been about a year since I've seen this, but man, did I have a fun time with this movie. The humor, the comedic elements that are interwoven with the fantasy elements really were charming, in my opinion. They really utilize a lot of great fantasy tropes, which I think I'm assuming is in line with Dungeons and Dragons. I don't play the game. I'm not familiar. I know a bit about Dungeons and Dragons, of course. I'm a nerd. Of course, I know something about it. And I played it once. Every nerd's played it at least once. It's not quite for me, again. But I like the cast. Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, always good to see her kicking some ass. Fun movie. I what can I say? I thought it was a good time. Got to be out. Looking forward to more. Absolutely, Dell. Thanks for tuning in for as long as you did. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you, in the future, commenting and us chatting about movies. And I plan to do these live streams more often, especially since seems to be somewhat of a response here. And look at that little light on my nose. And it's rather easy to do because I could just crawl out of bed and just turn on the camera and start talking about shit. Thought Honor Among Thieves was so fun. Yeah, Ethan, I agree. I thought it was great fun. So, so this is where we start talking about films that I gave a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and I take my ratings very seriously, folks. The James Gunn directed third Guardians of the Galaxy film. This one hit me in some personal ways. I love the animal sentience angle of this. I really like the scenes of the poor animals being held captive and experimented on resonated with me for certain just personal reasons. And I'm a bit, not an advocate, but I'm a bit of an advocate against animal testing and stuff like that. And the film was obviously really leaning into that. And I think it's one of those things we'll look back on and be like, Jesus, we did some barbarous things to animals that are a lot like us. Anyway, I'll get off my high horse and say that I really appreciated that that element of the film. And yeah, I was bawling at certain points in this film. Rocket really comes into his own here and has a full story arc, which is both charming and heartbreaking, but fulfilling all at the same time. And it's just wonderful. I get teared up thinking about it. It's very well done. Gunn manages to balance comedy with drama very, very well. And I can't wait to see what he does after the DC Marvel stuff, which I think he's great at. Suicide Squad is one of the best martial arts superhero films ever, I believe. But anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, very good, great action, fun, colorful, good CG, good story, good acting, funny, charming film. Even the mainstream ones get me. I gotta be honest sometimes. Number 6 was The Covenant, with directed by Guy Ritchie, doing something different than what he's usually done, but still somehow grounded in that Guy Ritchie flavor and flair. I gave it a 4 out of 5. War film. Jake Gyllenhaal, Dar Salem as Ahmed. And this is just a pretty simple war film in it that takes place during the war in Afghanistan. And it's Jake Gyllenhaal risking his life to take this interpreter into a safe zone. And it's really that simple, but there are some complexities to it. But it's a very solid war film in a time where I feel like war films are not as prevalent as maybe they should be, since of all the stuff going on in the world. Next up, David Fincher's new film, 5, is The Killer. Covenant is really solid pick. Thanks. Yeah, Covenant is very good. I'm really happy to see Guy Ritchie playing the game in Hollywood. You know, he does a film for Hollywood. He gets a blank check, is able to do something that he wants to do. And I think that's producing some of his best work in years, like The Gentleman and The Covenant. So next up, The Killer. David Fincher. Really, I'm a sucker for a good Hitman film. This is a deconstruction of a Hitman film in a lot of ways, but it still is at its core a Hitman film. And basically, Hitman screws up in the beginning, and then he has to, because of that screw up, everything in his life unravels. And because he's so tightly knit and everything is so calculated and perfect, one miss in the beginning of the film just sends his life into a spiral, and he's on the run, and it's very good. It's David Fincher really doing what he does best. It's not his best film by any means, but it's his best film. It's my favorite film of his in years, honestly, because I preferred when he was doing the darker, grittier genre stuff, you know. Let's see. Was that number 5? The Killer was number 5. I'm going to probably finish this up, guys, and then I'm going to get going. I got to pee. Number 4 is Creed 3. Now, I might be in the minority, but Creed 3 is my favorite of the Creeds. I fucking love Creed 3. A lot of it has to do with Jonathan Majors. I know he's in the news recently. I'll let the courts figure that out. I'll judge him on his performance here, not on who he is as a man. I try to separate the art from the artist. I understand it's hard sometimes. Jonathan Majors as Adonis Creed's rival in this film, old friend and now rival. The way that Jonathan Majors ekes his way into the life of Adonis Creed, gets in his head, fucks with him mentally and then physically, I thought was brilliant. I was consistently questioning Jonathan Majors' motives, whether his heart was in the right place, whether he was doing this at a malicious intent. Was he envious? I knew all of those things were there, but the film does such a good job with its writing, kind of balancing back and forth whether or not this guy is a bad actor. And it has a great story arc. It really does. And I just thought Creed 3 was really good, really emotional. And Jonathan Majors, when he is on, he is on. He's fantastic. Next up, number 3, it'll start to become more obvious based on who I am. John Wick 4. Man, I rewatched John Wick 4 a few months ago after watching it in the theaters. Yeah, John Wick 4 is one of the best action films ever made. Hands down. It is one of the best action films ever made. Talk about ballet-like action sequences of the likes that Shaw Brothers used to do with swords and knives and daggers and axes. Well, John Wick 4, I think, is it's the pinnacle of gun fu. The acrobatic nature of all the performers, the eloquence of the set design, the eloquence of the I'm sorry, the elegance of the set design, the elegance of the choreography. It just all comes together in John Wick 4. I felt after watching it the first time that maybe the boat sailed for John Wick, and it's just too much. All right, 4 films of this over and over and over of him killing innumerable amounts of people. After watching it a second time, I changed that because, I watch crappy movies in between with crappy action, and I'm like, wow, John Wick 4 really gets it right. John Wick 4 is probably my second favorite of the bunch. John Wick 2, then 4, then 1, then 3. With that said, I love all of them. All of them are 4.5s or 5s. So I love all of them. They're fantastic. But John Wick 4, ends the story, the arc well. But we all know there's going to be more. Where there's money to be made, there is movies to be made. I just hope Stahelski goes on to do something different. I know he was lined up to do Highlander for a long time. I'd love to see Highlander. I'd love to see him do a Highlander with some young actor or actress, for that matter, who maybe is not very recognizable but can really own the role of the Highlander. Not unlike Christopher Lambert does, and he still does, because he's still not, he never became the star that, I guess he could have. Christopher Lambert has always been mediocre, right? But he has those movies that we really love, like Highlander and like, The Hunted, and like, a bunch of cool movies like that. But he's about 3 times more awkward than Jean-Claude Van Damme on screen. So if I was to mathematically quantify it. Next up is, I just rewatched this, so I'd probably put this behind John Wick 4 at this point. So this might actually be my 3, but I have it listed here as my 2nd. Am I so happy to see you back? Don't go away for so long again. Thanks, Tony. It's good seeing you as well. I really appreciate the kind words. My plan is this live stream is me getting my foot in the door, as I plan to come back to YouTube, certainly moving forward, at least one video a month, whatever it is, whatever I can do, I want to do, because I miss making content. I miss you guys. I miss talking about movies and chatting about movies. So anyway, number 2 is going to be, right now I'm doing my 2023 rank top 10. So I'm down to my number 2, which was Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part Uno. Can't wait for Part 2. I'll be able to judge it as a complete piece. But I fucking love Dead Reckoning Part 1. I think it's, I like Ghost Protocol more. I like Rogue Nation more. And I like Fallout more. But I like Dead Reckoning, I think, is going to be 3rd. And then Ghost Protocol, I'd have to do a ranking. I'd have to think about it. I love the first one. The second one is pretty bad. The third one is damn good for what it is, honestly. But Dead Reckoning, what can I say? It's about a rogue AI that they have to try to navigate and figure out and destroy and get the keys. And you got to put the keys together, and you got to put the keys and destroy the thing, and espionage and people not who they seem and masks. It's Mission Impossible, but it's so utterly Mission Impossible. And Tom Cruise is the true last action hero. I really believe that. Eat your heart out, Schwarzenegger. No, Tom Cruise is the last action hero. He's been doing this since Top Gun. He is still doing it. He is the man. Again, despite some of his crazy stuff in his personal life, I don't care. Separate the art from the artist. This guy is making some incredible action films, doing his own stunts, and just really creating spectacles that pull you into the theater in a time where I think that idea is dying. Top Gun Maverick was the same thing. So my opinion, Tom Cruise is single-handedly keeping the American action film relevant. So, and John Wick and Keanu Reeves, Chad Stahelski. Anyway, numero uno. I'll read this comment here. Dead Reckoning was so good. Yes. Everyone always talks about how great the vehicular stunts are, which of course they're amazing, but I thought the combat in Reckoning was so well put together. Absolutely. Yeah, the combat, just everything. That's the thing. When you watch these Mission Impossible movies now, Fallout, you have car chases, you have fucking foot chases, you have gunfights, you have fisticuffs, you have all of it in a beautiful concoction, a cacophony of action, and it's wonderful. So I hope he keeps making them. Fuck it, just keep making them. I know the last one's supposed to be the next one's supposed to be the last one, but hour and 15 minutes. Boy, time flies when you're having fun. Anyway, numero uno. My number one is not even an American film. Takashi Yamazaki's Gojira -1 Ichi. Glad to see you back. Softball Junkie, can't wait to see you on the hunt looking for deals. Just recently picked up on Mission Impossible. Oh, 4K. Not $10 on 4K? Yeah, that's awesome. Good find. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back out there. But I want to be more strategic with my spending. I want things that I am sure I'm going to watch or sell. And I'm also going to be more disciplined with what I spend because I like I said, over the last year, I've been changing a lot of things about myself and my life, economic practices. I have enough stuff. I still love doing the thrifting. Don't get me wrong, because there's always new movies I find. I mean, I have a box full of movies I just thrifted a couple weeks ago. So I'm still doing it. I love it. In fact, here are a few for you thrifting heads out there. Oh, Gojira -1. I can't do one thing at a time. What can I say? Top 3 Godzilla movies of all time. Top 5 for sure. The start of something like a reboot, it seems, even though it feels like it's in the same universe as Shin Gojira, which is probably my first favorite Gojira film. I mean, if I was to name my favorites, the original Gojira, Gojira -1, I'm blanking. What the fuck? I just said it. Shin Gojira, Godzilla 98. No, it's not my top 5. I love Godzilla 98. You guys know that, but not in my top 5. Biollante probably is up there. Destroy All Monsters. Those are the types of Godzilla. Final Wars. I love the ones where they just throw all the monsters in them and just fucking action figures smashing together for an hour and a half. I love that shit. Love that shit. Anyway, Godzilla -1. Best movie of the year. Hands down, if not maybe the best Godzilla film ever made. Damn near perfect film that grounds you emotionally with these incredible characters, these conflicted characters during World War II in Japan, dealing with one of our main characters who's a kamikaze pilot, a failed kamikaze pilot, a disgraced kamikaze pilot who couldn't do the job. And the whole film revolves around him and what that means and his story and what life means, what sacrifice means. I cried at multiple points. I'm getting choked up now. It's a beautiful, beautiful story, deeply rooted in Japanese culture. America cannot produce a film like this because America doesn't have the same experience, which I think says most of what needs to be said about American Godzilla films. This is a very intimate cultural art piece, Gojira, that does not translate well to America. Do I have fun with the American Godzilla films? Sure. My favorite is still 98. It is what it is. My favorite is still 98. But I do enjoy these movies, but they're turn off my brain, dumb fun, whereas the Godzilla films coming from Japan are high-minded, and they're for a thinking movie watcher, somebody that doesn't mind getting engaged with the politics and the all the different characters and the bureaus and like, I love it. And what's so unique about -1 is this is the first Gojira film that does not have the government and the military solving problems. The people solve the problems, and that is a statement in and of itself. So I think that's wonderful. All right, we're down to 3 people here, so I think I'm going to call it soon. I'll just show you a little stack of movies I bought. I'll go through them quick, and then I'll get going. In the Company of Men. This is like a late 90s satirical comedy. Don't know much about it. Yeah, I believe you, Soft Little Junkie. Why would you bullshit? Agree with you on Tom Cruise comment. I don't care much for his off-screen stuff, but he does. Yeah, well, yeah, he's a bit out there, but that's okay. And we're all a bit out there in our own goofy ways. As long as he's not hurting anybody, if yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. I don't care much for his off-screen stuff, but he does make some good movies. Absolutely. My favorite year, another comedy here with Peter O'Toole. It's directed by Richard Benjamin. Don't know much about it. This is one that I've wanting to see. This is a John Borman film based on his life. It's kind of a bit of a pseudo biopic. Takes place during World War II, and the London Blitz. Takes place during the London Blitz. Another one that seems to take place during World War II because it's got a Nazi and the SS and all that good. Maximilian Schell. Look at how intense he looks there. Kind of goofy, to be honest, and weird makeup. But it works. This is American Film Theater. I have The Iceman Cometh in this Kino Video kind of offshoot set. It's more theatrical, one set kind of films from what I understand. I don't know much about this, though. Robert Shaw play, Arthur Hiller directed. Yeah, I mean, I love Maximilian Schell, and I love history, so that's why I picked it up. Just have dog hair all over them. Lansky. I enjoyed finding this because I love me some obscure mob films from the 90s, and this is certainly one of them. What's his name? Richard Dreyfuss plays Lansky. And that's all I know. Mechanical Man. This is so cool, guys. I thought, so I picked this up. Usually Alpha Video, there's stuff that never really made it to any other distributor picked up. They're mostly in the public domain, so most people are like, we're not touching it. But Alpha Video has specialized in that, which is good because they do release some stuff that, again, doesn't make it anywhere else. The Mechanical Man seems to be a really early kaiju-like, giant monster, giant robot-like film from Italy. It's a silent film tinted in black and white from 1921, but the vast majority of the film was lost. And we only have 26 minutes of it. So Mechanical Man, 26 minutes of it. I hear it's not very impressive, admittedly. But as long as if I could see a giant mechanical robot, I'm doubting it'll be in front of the Coliseum, but that would be fucking cool. I want to see, I'm interested in the history of cinema, obviously, and I'm interested in influences and roots of cinematic tropes. And if this was one of the first giant monster, giant robot, like giant kaiju-sized robot films, I want to give it a shot. It also has a film called The Headless Horseman. So from 1922, silent. Is it based on Washington? Oh, it is based on Washington Irving. So that's actually cool. I didn't recognize that. I really bought it for The Mechanical Man. I'm sorry, Softball Jack. It's an hour and a half has gone by. A movie's worth of me content. I'm sorry to subject you all to this. All 6 of you. The number's waning. It's going like 3, 10, 6. It's, or I'm taking stickers off. 1612. This is a Russian film that takes place during the 1600s, a brutal time in Russian history. Well, many times in Russian history are brutal. Snapper cases. Yeah, absolutely. 1612 is supposed to be a really experimental and brutally violent and visceral war film from Russia. So that sounds good to me as a student of Russian history in the 20th century and beyond, like 1612. I am very interested in that. You doing okay over there, Rocky? My boy he wants food, which is another excuse for me to get going soon. The Big Bounce, based on the Elmore Leonard book. This is pretty beat up and rough and water damaged. This was remade with Owen Wilson, I want to say. It was really bad. Owen Wilson, Morgan Freeman. This is the original. It's not supposed to be much better, to be honest. The book is supposed to be excellent. The Devil's Keep, I don't know much about this. Don't know the people in it. I don't even know if it's an American film. Don Gronquist, that sounds like an American director. I believe he is. CIA agents and Nazis hot on the trail. I don't know much about it, but it takes place during World War II. Nazis, I see boobies on the back. Nazis and boobies. And guns. And blood. Yeah, so they picked good screenshots to get you interested. This is a film I don't know much about, but I picked it up because it's a 70s film. That's one of those 70s films that's made to look like a new film. So it deceives people into buying it. And then they put it in. They're like, what's this old crap? Old crap that I want, that I'm interested in. Let me see if I can find out. Blackout. Let me see, because I've already forgotten the information I learned about it. Okay. Well, of course I can't find it because there's 1,000 movies called Blackout. Oh, there it is. Eddie Madelon, 1978. The night the power failed and the shock began. A black comedy of violent criminals who terrorize apartment dwellers during New York's 1977 power blackout. That sounds so interesting to me. Good New York film. James Mitchum, Robert Carradine, Ray Milland, Terry Haig. There's some names I recognize here. It's got a 3.1 on Letterboxd. Not bad. So, Blackout. Let's see. The Missionary. This is a Michael Palin comedy directed by Richard Longcrane. I don't know that name. 1982 seems like a crude comedy from the 80s that deals with taboo subjects like religion. So I'm okay with that. I will give that a check. Irreverent, silly, and damned good fun. What a British thing to say. This was awesome to find. Tough to find these days. The Straight Story. This is David Lynch doing a studio picture for Disney, I believe, at the time, which is bizarre to even consider. But this is a straight up drama. I don't think there's any weird David Lynch shit. I'm sure he sneaks some of it in there. But this is like a really straight up American like folk drama. And I don't know much about it, but it's supposed to be excellent. A lot of people say it's one of his best films. It seems when he does do things like this, like Elephant Man, he really hits his stride. The less weird of his films. And I like his weird films. Eraserhead's one of my favorites. I love it. Straight Story is so wholesome. It looks wholesome. That's a great word to describe it because it looks like, I'm an American. It looks Americana. It looks wholesome. It looks folky. It looks naturalistic. It just looks like a real movie. So I want to give it a shot. Yeah, it's interesting that wasn't where his heart was. He was doing just weird shit his whole career, which a lot of people love. I don't love it as much, but hey, that's okay. I met so many people that have gotten mad at me for not loving Lynch, but it is what it is. I love some of his films. I don't love all of them. Twin Peaks is pretty good, House of War. This is a low budget release here. MVD digital. It seems to be an on-demand kind of thing. I don't know much about House of War, but it's based on the true events that are often compared to the 9/11 attacks. November 26, 2008, extremist terrorist group from Pakistan carried out an aggressive series of coordinated shootings and bombings across Mumbai, India. That sounds really interesting to me. The history is interesting to me. I know a bit of it, so I want to see a dramatization of that. Molly Maguires. This is the last one here, I think. Yeah. Molly Maguires is again, another very American working class kind of film. Militant coal miners who battled their exploitation by mine owners with violence, intimidation, and sometimes murder. So yeah, it's about the struggle of coal miners fighting for probably better conditions and better pay. The age-old story of labor. And it looks like it's supposed to be pretty good. So Martin Ritt, anything with Sean Connery and Richard Harris and Samantha Eggar. It's a great cast, so can't go wrong with that. All right, guys. I really want to... Big Al, you take it easy. I'm heading out now, too, so good timing. Great to see you back. Look forward to any videos. Absolutely. I might do the live thing, more focused live streams, maybe have a topic and do those for the time being, because this is a lot easier for me to do, guys. A lot easier for me to do than editing, which I love to do. I love the production of it, but, and to catch the replay. Sounds good. I'm going to wrap it up here. This has been so much fun. I'm actually reluctant to leave. I'm really enjoying this. I see there's still some people in here. But I will do this again, maybe during the week, definitely during the weekend. And maybe the next one will be a little bit more focused. I'll have some notes. I'll have an idea of what we want to talk about. Maybe I'll pick a year and we'll just go through some of the films, kind of like Rambo Raff does. I like when he does those live streams of just one topic, just talking about the topic, sticking to the topic. And that creates some great conversation. So we might be doing something like that. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you. I'm glad you guys were entertained. At least some of you. I tried. It's the first time I've ever done something so off the cuff and quippy. But it's been great seeing all you guys. Ethan, Big Al, OC Floydian, Softball Junkie, everybody that's in the chat still. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for continuing to support me. I can't believe you're still here. So really humbles me. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go. I'll see you guys next time. Board Cyborg, out. Now I have to use this hand to hit end stream awkwardly. Peace out.